I'd like to begin our Hawaii Board on Geographic Names. So calling this meeting to order on this day, Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024 at 2:05. And first on the agenda is roll call. So I will begin. I'm Marcus Marzan, representative designee for the Bishop Museum and chair of the committee. May I ask the other board members to?
Sure. This is Meyer Cummins. I'm with the State Land Survey Division.
Okay. Aloha, Lily Makaila with Department of Hawaiian Homelands.
Aloha, Keith Gutierrez, Office of Hawaiian Affairs.
I don't think, yeah.
Okay, we're back on. Sorry.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me, okay. I'm Holly McEldowney. I work for State Parks and I'm representing the Department of Land and Natural Resources.
I'm Arthur Buto. I'm sitting in for Mary Alice Evans, for the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development.
Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you all of our guests listening into our meeting. We have a number of things on our agenda, but I think many of you are here for one particular one. But we'd just like to continue on with our agenda. So the first, the next thing on our
Sorry, Marcus, to interrupt, but can I ask everyone to mute themselves except the board members? And turn your cameras off except the board members right now. But at any time, if you do want to speak, please go ahead and unmute yourself. Just as long as you're respectful of the speaker, please feel free to unmute yourself. But at this time, can everybody go ahead and mute themselves?
Thank you, Arthur. Yeah. Okay. So to continue, the next thing on our agenda is the review and approval of the meeting minutes of March 1st.
Sorry, one more interruption. Oh, no, I don't need to, sorry. But just a reminder to everybody online, this meeting is being recorded. It will be uploaded to our website shortly after today.
All right. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes of March 1st?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of March 1st.
Yeah.
Second.
Moved by Meyer Cummins and second by Lily Makaila. Is there any additions or discussion on the minutes as written? Any discussion? Hearing none. Any opposed? Motion carried. All right. Next on the agenda, public comments.
Apart from
Hello.
the agenda item 5, no other comments.
Okay. And announcements.
Guys did a good job of doing everything already, so.
Do you have any official announcements at this time? Any of the board members or?
We'll see each other and whatever.
Hearing none. Moving on to the next item, discussion on the island of Hawaii. So just so everyone is clear that's joining us in our meeting, this line item or this agenda item was asked to be added to our agenda as only things that are on our agenda are something is available for the board members to discuss. And the Island of Hawaiʻi is the official name, that has been the official name for the Island of Hawaiʻi for many, many years.
This is the
Uh,
meeting where they decide. Yeah, okay, wait.
Yes,
Sorry, can I interrupt Marcus real quickly?
yes.
Aloha, everyone. I just wanted to say thank you folks so much for being on here. This is an official meeting and we just really ask you folks if you could please mute yourselves. We're doing our best to follow the agenda and we will make sure that you folks have time to comment and provide any testimony or ask any concerns. But if you could please mute yourself so that we're able to
Well,
proceed
because
with the meeting.
our teachers like
Mahalo.
Mahalo, everyone, for your time. We really appreciate all of you present and hearing it, listening in and offering your feedback. But just as I mentioned, the reason why it's on our agenda is it's the only way that the board can actually start addressing this issue. In any issue that regards to to names and places in the state, all of those actions have to be listed out in our agenda. So this was a suggestion from a board member from our last meeting. So that's why it's on our agenda at this month. So I don't know. Maybe I can ask Arthur just to give a little bit of feedback on this, on why or
Sure.
yeah.
So this is, we're talking about the official name of the Island of Hawaiʻi. And what that means is the official name in our world is the name that appears in the Federal Geographic Names Information System, the GNIS. That database of names, I should say, all federal agencies are required to use the official name or the primary names that are in that database. So what we're talking about today is, and I think the member who raised it, who's unfortunately not here today, wanted to talk about probably Island of Hawaiʻi versus Hawaii Island. Nothing radical, but it affects all federal agencies when they make a map, when they write their documents, when they create signage or create brochures. They have to use that official name that's in that database. So that's what we're talking about today. It has almost no impact, I would say, on local usage, on common usage. It's really meant for that official record. But in the case of things like Fisher 8, where this board came up with it, not came up with, but we solicited community input and made a decision on that name, Ahu'aila'au, that we hope will be adopted in common usage. But again, we're talking about the GNIS, this federal names database that is important in the kinds of impacts it has on government users, federal and state.
Arthur, am I able to share screen?
Let me enable that. Okay, you should be able to.
Okay. So apologies to folks who have called in over the telephone, since you don't have the full spectrum of the Zoom platform. But for those of you who are on Zoom, I hope that you're able to see the screen that I have here. This is the USGS Geographic Name Information System. And this here is where all of the different names of geographic features are kept. And if you were to search in here, aloha, if you folks could please mute. if you were to search in here for the term Oahu, then you would see there are other places, Michigan, New York, that have Oahu. But there's also here a geographic feature for the island of Oahu. It has an ID number. It's indicated as an island in Honolulu County in Hawaii, and you can see the spelling of the name. If you are to search Hawaii, then again, there are multiple things that pull up. This one here is civil relating to the county itself. And what we're hoping to discuss today is this one. So it says for Hawaii Island, it's officially called Island of Hawaiʻi. You can see there's an ID number. It's identified as an island in Hawaii County in Hawaii. And so the conversation that came up last week was the fact that the other islands are just known by their island name: Oahu, Molokaʻi, Lanai, Maui, Kauai, Kaho'olawe. And yet in this instance, it's Island of Hawaii. And we can only assume that that is to help with any confusion that folks might have. But we're hoping to put this on the agenda for today so that we could discuss why this is inconsistent with the other ones, and should the name just be Hawaii instead of beginning with Island of. So I hope that that provides some background to folks. And I guess I'll turn it back over to Marcus or Arthur to continue.
Mahalo, Lily, for that insight and sharing the USGS system, and for people's abilities to search those different key terms and how they're organized in that way. Thank you again. Any board members have any thoughts on this discussion at this point, at this time?
I'm gonna, in a second, I'll ask people just to chime in if they have comments, but I want to say that we received a little more than a dozen phone calls and some emails as well about this issue. I've included them, I uploaded them to the website. So if the board members who are tuning in virtually, if you want to check it out, or for that matter, folks on the call that want to check it out, please go back to the website, to the meeting materials, and you can take a look at. I didn't record the comments from the phone calls, but I did just PDF the emails so you can see the full text of those. The sentiment on the phone calls, I returned all the phone calls, was that not surprisingly, people were surprised by the issue being on the agenda and didn't understand what it was about or wanted to know more about what it's about, and were upset that there's such a short time for them to provide comments and feedback. So I tried to make clear to when I talk to the folks that we're not in a rush to make any kind of decision, and that what we're really going to be considering is maybe not as sensational as people might have thought, hopefully. But regardless, we do want to hear from the public. So I'm happy that so many people are tuning in, and I think it's an opportunity for us as a board to really make more people aware of about the work that we do.
If I can chime in one more time, I just wanted to mention, I think it's pretty clear amongst board members that we are not comfortable making any type of determination without folks having adequate time for consultation and input. And so I think that it's not an overreach to say that we won't be making any determinations on changes today, and that we're happy to continue to the conversation each time that we meet until everybody feels good about a potential change. And so I just wanted to clearly articulate that so that folks who, are taking time to be here today and those who may feel rushed no longer feel that rush, like Arthur mentioned. And so I think if we're able to, it would be great if we can allow anyone to who's interested in sharing their mana'o or asking any questions that they might have. I'm also monitoring the chat box. So if you folks want to put any questions or comments that you have in the chat box, I'll do my best to answer any questions. And then we can also read those comments aloud and do our best to respond. But I think if we're able to, Marcus, if we can open it up for public comment, I do see that we have.
Yes, a couple, yeah. Mahalo, Lily, for all of that. Yes, so I'd like to recognize Leila Kealoha Puna Hawaii Island first, and then I will call on next person after that. Aloha.
Aloha mai kākou. O Leila Kealoha koiuna no Puna mai au. I'm Leila Kealoha from Puna here on Hawaii Island. First of all, mahalo board members for allowing us this opportunity today to just share. So thank you for clarifying about what the name change was or is proposed to be, because there is miscommunication that's occurring within the community. The only reason why I knew about this because someone saw it on Facebook. And it was through KHON 2 News that put it out on their TV station. So the one thing I do want to ask of you folks is that, that we clearly articulate this information that's being shared about what is being proposed to the general public, because any sort of ask such as this to change names, especially of an island, what the island is called is it just sparks a lot within our community. And so thank you very much for your clarification. And I just do want to ask, I see KITV news on here today. Those that are, if there's someone within your board that can really clearly communicate with the media that this information, like what is being proposed, the actual name change. That's my one ask. So thank you very much for letting me speak. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Leila. Yeah, thank you very much for your comments. And yes, we will have, we will designate a representative to speak to the news and media regarding the specifics of this of this particular agenda item on our meeting today.
Mahalo.
The next person I'd like to recognize is Bobby.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, you are audible. Thank you.
Okay. A preliminary thing that when Lily was sharing the screen for GNIS, right under the names of the places is a little label called details. And if you click on that, it'll give you a list of all of the variant names, as well as hopefully decision cards when those names were listed. I've been doing place names research in Hawaii Volcanoes National Park for almost 40 years. And this is just, I think, an effort to standardize things. One of the problems was, and I'm not intending to talk stink about KHON, but they should have done a little bit more research and made a few more phone calls before they broadcast the piece that Leila talked about. I got 4 phone calls from my friends after they saw it. So, more information is better than not. I think the GNIS purpose is to standardize names. And yes, there are a lot of businesses, a lot of everything's with Hawaii Island as their logo thing, like we're looking at on screen. But that doesn't necessarily make it right. And I think one of the things that a problem that GNIS has is outreach to the community. People don't understand what GNIS is and what role it fulfills. And again, like Arthur mentioned several times, this is for federal agencies. Our state has a whole separate set of rules, I guess, that they have to follow. And for that, you know, our legislators apparently are unable to lobby the legislature. And so this session, early in the session, someone submitted a bill to correct the spelling of Hawaii on the state seal, and to add an okina between the two I's in the word Hawaii. And for that, a lot of people from Ni'ihau and the Hawaii community up there testified against that. They did not want to add the okina. So, you know, in various communities around the state, there are people for and people against things. And this is a situation where when we end up, somebody is going to be unhappy. And this is not life or death. Again, this is about standardization for maps and writing, you know, documents. And that's all it is. It's not about culture necessarily. It's just about standardizing and making things go smoothly. Okay, mahalo for the opportunity to comment.
Mahalo, Bobby. I'd like to recognize Hui Ho'ola'aina this time.
Aloha, thank you, board, for this opportunity to speak on this agenda item. For me, I am concerned on what's happening. We just got news of this today in the Big Island, and it is my questions for this thing would be, who requested for the change? And what constitutional rights do you have to make change to a name or a place of a place, or Constitution versus state? The state statute clearly provides boundaries for you to exist in. Can you clarify or prove the separation of powers? More so, who's proposing the change, and what is the federal definition for Hawaii, or how is it currently being used by the concerned entities?
Mahalo nui for your comment. I can share a little bit, maybe other board members can also add as well. But the Hawaii Board on Geographic Names is our statutory responsibility is to make sure that all place names in Hawaii are properly identified and spelled correctly. And since the early 2000s, the board members have been trying to include all diacritic markings, so Okina and Kahako, in modern Hawaiian where we can, so that we can have these names identified in both the state and federal mapping agents systems, as Arthur had mentioned. So that is our statutory responsibility, to make sure that all of the names are written and presented to the public in the most proper way. The island of Hawaii has been the official name of the island since 2000. There, as a former speaker Bobby Kamara mentioned, there's also a list of variant names that are also part of this, the history of that's within the USGS GNIS system. And the Hawaii Island is also a variant name in that list of islands, island names. And that was first identified in 1981 and used in that way. So there are a number of names associated with the island itself. Hawaii Island, Island of Hawaiʻi, Hawaii, all these different forms of spelling have been identified, but the official name has been the Island of Hawaiʻi since 2000.
Okay, so
And-
before that though, we have maps already that show from the 1800s and the 1900s exactly what it is, where it's at, and what it's called. I mean, I don't think it's
Yes.
fair for you guys to erase history.
Yeah. So
I think it's fair to just leave it the way it is.
yeah, mahalo. Many of those early names like Owaihi, the original spelling of that was written on Captain Cook's maps and some of the early voyagers into the Pacific. Those are all names. All of those names are still part of the history of the place. But in this system, there is only one name that can be identified as official name for that particular feature or land area. And in 2000, it was determined that it was the Island of Hawaiʻi, which was going to be the official name, whereas all the rest would be the variant names. So all state and federal agencies would have to use that term, Island of Hawaiʻi, when identifying the particular island itself in any official documents. And what was mentioned earlier by Arthur, the other names are used readily by other organizations, community groups, but this is specifically tied. The usage of the official name is specifically tied to all official state and governmental documents.
Okay, well, I just truly believe that this kind of stuff is not in the power of the state of Hawaii or the federal government to be making the changes that you guys want to make. We already recognized we're a country before the state of Hawaii got here, and we're still recognized as that piece of property that does not belong to the United States. We just seen this CNN posting of how Hawaii is not part of the 50 states, right? Because we're not tied into the NATO treaty. And even with that, the state of Hawaii is going to try and make changes with that. That's not something they can even think of doing because of the fact that they are the illegal occupation. And so for me, I just appreciate the time to speak. And I just hope you guys take into consideration. It's fine the way it's been before 2000. It's fine. I mean, we don't need to change anything. Thank you.
Mahalo, mahalo. I'd like to recognize Tara Lupas at this time.
Aloha. I just have two quick questions. So Tara Ko'uinoa. One is to look at this, research it more. I myself heard about it last minute. So my first question is by when this decision will be made or brought up again? Like how often do you guys meet? How often do we need to keep, following up? And or do you know when that decision day will be? And then second, this is the first time I'm actually hearing about this group. So my second question is, are you the group that, for example, renamed like the airport, for example, like from Honolulu International Airport to Daniel K. Inouye? Like, are you the group that decides the names? So those are my two questions. Mahalo.
Yeah, thank you, Tara. So the board meets monthly. This again was brought up at our last board meeting to see if we could have a discussion on this subject, and that's why it was added to this month's agenda. So it wasn't something that we've had recurring conversations about. It was just brought up last month, And because we can only speak about those things that are on our agenda, that's why it was added to the agenda, and that's why we're speaking about it today. We wanted just to start the conversation. We don't plan on making any decisions, as Board Member Lily Makaila mentioned. We don't have any plans to make a decision today. We just wanted to start a conversation to see if there was desire within the community to have further discussion. In our board, we actually do a lot of community engagement where we can to get the support from communities to see what is the desired outcome for place names or how they should be recognized. So it is not something that we do arbitrarily and make decisions on behalf of everyone in a bubble. We really try and engage community, have community consultation, input. So this is something that is just at the very beginning stages of discussion. So it will take some time, definitely, for us to get to anywhere near a point of a decision being made. The second question, apologies, what was your second question was?
Let me see if I can take that one, Marcus.
Oh, yes.
So the second question had to do with what is our, I guess, authority or our purview when it comes to the Board of Geographic Names. And so I do want to clarify that our kuleana rests with what are referred to as geographic features. So for those of you who saw the share screen previously, that showed how the database captures all of the different names of geographic features, and that can include the names of pu'u, it can include the names of islands, it can include the names of bays or mountains, that type of thing. So geographic features, oftentimes we see them used in maps. And then sometimes they're referred to in, federal or governmental documents. And so that things like the, I guess the airport names or whatnot, if they've been kind of dedicated to someone, that is not a part of our kuleana. I did also want to address, we have a bunch of questions being asked in the chat box. And so I did want to clarify, because there's some folks asking specifically if our intention was to remove the Inoa of Hawaiʻi from the name of the geographic feature. So I did want to answer that now and say that that is not at all our intention. The intention was looking at the name of the geographic feature, which is currently called Island of Hawaiʻi. And I can only speak for myself as a board member, and I may be in the minority. But my preference would be to go to the origin name. I feel like place names, Wahipana and Inoa Hawaiʻi are my preference, that we go towards the traditional name. And if there is a commonly known place name that is an Inoa Hawaiʻi, that is my preference. And so if I were to throw out a potential option, it would be changing Island of Hawaiʻi to just Hawaii or to Hawaii Island. But I am not able to act on my own. I'm a part of the board, and so it has to be a full discussion to include community comments and community mana'o. But we have not ever discussed in the last meeting or in this meeting removing Hawaii from the name. So I just wanted to kind of answer those questions that were coming up in the comments. Mahalo. I do see other hands up.
Yeah, mahalo, Lily, for that and your comment. I'd like to recognize Lanakila Willard. Kila, are you available to speak at this time?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. like most people, I didn't know this was a real thing. It came out yesterday, it was circulating on social media, and a lot of people just thought it was an April Fool's joke, myself included. Until this morning, when I got the notice about this meeting from someone on the Big Island. And then I was like, what the heck? Okay, so I'm just gonna make it quick. First, I wanna state that I do not believe you have any authority to mess with any of our stuff. You're the state of Hawaii. You're trying to change something that belonged to the kingdom. So I just want to make that clear, that that's where my mindset is. But if we have to play in your sandbox, then I'm going to say this, that if you look at old documents from the kingdom, from the republic, from the territory, and the beginning of the American legislature, and I have right here at my fingertips more than 500 of those documents, it refers to this island that you're talking about either as the island of Hawaii no Okina, or Moku o Keawe, and those are the only two names that you should be considering, unless your intention is to once again cause the change of our history or to erase it. What are you going to do with all the maps that are made? Are you going to just throw them away? Like, we can't even find maps now. So none of this makes any sense. You're going to change maps, you're going to have to change documents, yada, yada, yada. So I don't get it. I don't think any of us get it. Just to standardize? No. That island is Hawaii, or Moku o Keawe, period. Thank you.
Mahalo for that comment. I'd like to now recognize Kiara Lorenzo Rodriguez.
Aloha no, can you folks hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, my name is Kiara Lorenzo Rodriguez. I come from Moku o Keawe, from the Ahupua'a Kamakua, from the Avava of Waipi'o. I want to first start by saying the Mo'olelo of Hawaii Loa states that in his dreams he's seen Mauna Awakea, and he comes to this island with the best of the best huaka'i on his ba'a, right? He comes and he names this island after him. It is stated in many, many different mo'olelos that he then goes on to name the other islands after his children, other than Maui. Maui had its name. And I just really hope that we can continue this kupuna and it's not erased, as many of the other folks have said, even through our allodial titles given to us by Kawikea Oli. The Great Mahele gives the name of this land again, Moku o Keawe, Hawaii. All these things need to be understood and need to be protected. I can only thank you folks for ensuring that our history is not only told, but told correctly. I think that's very important, that the people understand, especially the Mo'opuna of the future, understand where these names came from. I do understand that people of Hawaii also call Moku o Umi because our ties to Umi'alilo is so great, especially in the Hamakua Ahupua'a. So again, these histories must be pertinent. And like many others says, I do not believe you folks have the authority, as Olelo Hawaii is our national language. So I'm very, very particular to ensuring, just like other places of the world, that our language is put first and it's not put on the back burner to make it easier for people to understand, whatever it may be. I just want to make sure that my island will remain the same and none of its history will be erased through any change of anything. Even when it comes to pu'us, as we know, many of the allodial titles are incorrectly written and false titles hold false names that have been changed. And this is very important when securing sovereignty for my people. So I just want to ensure that you folks understand, first of all, mo'olelo, and understand mana'i noa when it comes to certain things, as Hawaii loa and the lines of Keawe are very rich and very well today. So mahalo, and that's all I have to say.
Mahalo nui, Kiara, for your comment. Next, I'd like to recognize Nale.
Aloha, is this audio working? We good?
Yes, it is.
Aloha. My name is
Aloha.
Nale. I'm from Maui. I just wanted to address this because this was a very hot topic. And when I woke up yesterday morning, honestly, I had horns coming out of my head. And so I had to go to your guys' website. And the thing about KHON alerting the community about what was going on, it came out at 10 o'clock at night. So when you wake up in the morning without no information, and when I went to your website, there actually wasn't anything on the agenda saying or talking about what the name change was. So that was one of the things. And also I wanted to come on here because I noticed there's a lot of people here. I can feel this because I'm getting messages on the side if I'm attending this meeting. I want to mahalo the board. I got to watch you guys March 1st meeting. You guys actually do a lot of research for this. And so for everybody that's watching, and I'm doing this also for people that are messaging right now, Hawaii Island, or the official name that Lilia had actually explained, Island of Hawaiʻi, it's like your legal name, kind of. You know, kind of like if I had an English name of Chris Lynn, but I go by Lehua, if I gotta get on the airplane, my name better say Chrislyn, not Lehua. So kind of like Island of Hawaii is the legal name. And it sounds like what this board is saying is just Hawaii or Hawaii Island. And just confirming that for everybody, that's what the discussion is for this, right? There's nothing to change right at this moment, but that was a discussion that was brought up for this meeting today, right?
Mahalo Nale. Yes. So like you mentioned, we don't have any history on this particular agenda item because we weren't able to talk about it. So that's why it has nothing about what are potential names or choices. This was the first meeting for us to even begin a conversation of what it means to address ideas of the possibility of changing a name. And that's why it was identified that way in our agenda. And of course, you know, media can really spin things without a lot of information. And what we're really wanting to do is do our due diligence and begin a conversation in the proper way. You know, to start a conversation and to really engage community in this discussion, because we really do believe that it's not our place to make the official name by ourselves. It is really a community effort, and the only thing that we are doing is approving the community's support for particular spaces and names that the community wants to see used officially within our spaces. So mahalo nale for your
really quickly, mahalo. So really quickly, so how did it come up instead of Island of Hawaii to either be Hawaii Island or just Hawaii? How did that come up?
So I think there was
I can
board
chime
member
in,
Lily. Oh
Marcus.
yes, yeah, please.
So
Mahalo.
myself and another board member, I was not aware prior to last month's meeting that the official geographic name for Hawaii, the island, was Island of Hawaiʻi. And for me personally, that seemed a little odd. And when I looked up the names of the other islands, I saw that none of the other islands are officially Island of Oahu or Island of Kauai. They are all just Oahu or Kauai or Lanai, Maui, Kaho'olawe. And I didn't understand why we have a different name and a different kind of inconsistent name for Hawaii, the island. I can only assume that it's because there's confusion. Folks might have confusion between the state and the island, but we also know that there are places named Waimea on every island, almost. There are moku named Kona on every island. And so my understanding is that traditional names, you can have a multitude of place names on different areas, and that was a part of our Inoa Hawaii and a part of our place naming traditionally. And so myself and one other board member questioned, why is it Island of Hawaii? And because, like Marcus mentioned, we're not able to have discussions about any topics that are not agendized. And that's why we have it on the agenda, and why we're starting this conversation today.
Mahalo for responding, and thank you for you guys for your due diligence and what you guys are doing. Community, if you're watching and you're paying and listening right now, I feel how you feel, because normally in the last couple months we've been getting last minute kind information, and so I understand why everybody's jumping over here. But mahalo nui board and everybody for being here and answering my questions.
Mahalo nui.
I just
I'd
want
like
to jump
to-
in real quick.
Oh, yes.
Mahalo Nale. I'm glad you brought that up about the KHON and the agenda. Yeah, because that bothered me when Bobby mentioned it. I don't fault KHON at all, because there was so little information in the agenda. I didn't receive anything to put in the agenda, but because it was so vague, so cryptic, I can understand that there would be concern and alarm about it. So I don't fault them at all. What it did was, I think, made a lot of people aware about about the existence of this board, number one, and sort of the kuleana of this board. So in that sense, to me, it may be a slim silver lining, but that's a silver lining. More people are aware. Place names are important to more than just this board, and it's clear in the number of people joining the meeting and the testimony they're giving. So mahalo nale. And one other thing, Bobby, the decisions that the state board, HBGN, makes do have an impact at the state level, similar to the way the USBGN's impact is on federal agencies. State agencies by statute are supposed to be using the names that we make decisions on. But we don't go out and hunt down people that are not using the right names or not using the correct spellings. And not a lot of people, not a lot of agencies know that we're here. So hopefully this will raise a little bit of awareness in that sense as well. So that was it. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah. Mahalo, Arthur. I see one other hand up. Recognize LN.
Hui, aloha. My name is Luahiva Namahoe. I'm from Hilo. Thank you for your time. So to understand correctly, listening to the conversation from beginning until now, this is regarding a database issue. This is stemming from logistic needs, because in the systems, I think it was GIS was the first, and maybe I'm getting that wrong. But the issue, as I understand it, is because by toggling for Hawaii, it's coming up as, is it Hawaii, Island? Is it Hawaii, the state? Is it Hawaii and the various entities as in county? And if that is driving the discussion, then that seems like a very rational series of reasons to want to agendize the idea of what systematizing naming conventions need to be. I do want to caution everyone who can make those decisions, all of you authorities, all of you powers that be, about unintended consequences when you start to change names. When I listened to the sidebar about Island of Hawaiʻi being the official name back in the year 2000, and trying to jog my own memories on that time, I have strong recollection of Island of Hawaiʻi being common ways that this island was referred to, through the 20th century, right? Nowadays, we would think that that's kind of unusual, because especially in business situations, I've heard Hawaii Island used to clarify, for clarity. Whereas I don't recall Hawaii Island being said very much in my childhood back in the 1970s and 1980s. So I thank you for putting this on the agenda. Yeah, KHON and everybody else could have done a much better job. And I completely confess that I was one of those who spread this bugger on my wall yesterday. And I did it bright and early this morning as well. And I will be trying to track you through all available media outlets. So again, thank you very much. Aloha.
Yeah. Mahalo nui for your comment. At this time, I don't see any other hands raised. Are there anyone else that that have
Yes,
have a
Marcus
comment that would
in the room
Yes.
here.
Aloha, my name is Lena. I just wanted to make a quick comment, just a little bit of my own mana'o. So growing up, I have this auntie who gives everybody nicknames, yeah? And the Big Island was kind of like that. Because when we spoke of it, people, like Sister said, for clarity purposes, oh, where you going? We're going Big Island. Or we're going Mokoa Keawe. Or, you know, it was never, oh, we're going Hawaii. Because if we're coming from California, everybody wants to know where we're going. But no matter what you put in front of it, whether it's the Big Island of Hawaii, the Island of Hawaii, Hawaii Island, there's always one consistent, and it's Hawaii. That's its name, Hawaii. If you want to do place-based naming, then go to Mokoa Keawe, because that's his name too. That's just my mana'o. So no matter what you want to call it, whatever makes it easier for you, whatever clarifies stuff for you, his name still remains the same. It's Hawaii. Aloha.
Mahalo nui. I do see another hand up. Recognize Keala. Keala, are you there? Okay. No, Keala is able to unmute at this time, but does anyone else in the meeting have something that they would like to add to this conversation at this time? Okay. Any other board members?
Yes, Marcus, if I could, since we do have representatives of our islands, especially folks from Mokoa Keawe are here today. If you folks wouldn't mind sharing either in the chat box or verbally, if the name of the geographic feature were to change from Island of Hawaiʻi to just Hawaii, would folks have concerns about that change? I think for me, that would be really helpful in getting guidance from our community.
I see a hand raised. Kalei, Kailikini.
Aloha. Aloha. I guess I just wanted to clarify her question. Aloha, Lily, I appreciate your input, your mana'o. I am, I'm not originally from the island of Hawaii. I moved here. I'm originally from the island of Molokai. That is where I was born and bred. But my father's family, my grandmother, my grandfather, they're from Waimea, Hawaii. And so in a way, this island is like a second home. It's a home for me. So I take it on, as my island now that I live here. So I guess I wanted to really answer your question the way you were posing it. But for me, my mana'o would be that, all the islands, basically historically, since we did not have a lot of education, we all got to agree I come from the latter generation. I graduated in 1966. So we did not have the Hawaiian studies and history lessons that the more current generation have, the opportunities. We didn't have it. So that being said, with the lack of that kind of education, we have to sort of catch up or now have homework that we have to go and research what you're talking about. Island of Hawaiʻi, that's the name, the official name. Hawaii, the name. What is the name? Moko Keawe, that's another name. All of these information is interesting and it's thought-provoking, and I would definitely like to find it out. I'm thinking when the people came over, 1778, what, were the islands already named? Hawaii, Maui, whatever. We don't. How do we know? What information is pono? So it's an interesting fact. And I think what you guys started to do may be that kind of a fireball, that you create this thinking process or going to do the research, because I'd like to know. But my love for the island of Hawaii is because of my father's family. So I want to preserve, to the best of my ability, the names, because I don't like changing. I really do not like changing the names. I mean, if you get adopted out, then your name may get changed. That's a whole different matter. The Hawaii Islands, we're not going to get adopted out. So no matter what excuse that anybody may bring to the table as to why they got to do this or do that is irrelevant to me, because protecting my homeland is everything. Okay, and it does come with knowledge. I agree. I totally agree. And I have to admit, I don't have what knowledge you may have. My olelo is 0. Okay, I converse more in Japanese. Go figure. Anyway, my family, my daughter, my niece, they're all olelo. They teach, they speak. My grandsons, my grandchildren, they all speak. I don't. My husband, who's passed away, he's a manaleo from Waimea. So that connection and my generation, that generation connection, kupuna, I need to protect. We need to protect our islands, the name, everything about it. Okay, the essence, everything about it. Hawaii is well known throughout the world. So you have to always take that into consideration, not just the changing of palapala paperwork or whatever, but it's also, that's a big plus. Hawaii. Everybody wants to know about Hawaii. Very positive, So that's my mana'o because of my father's family, my grandmother's. I was not brought up on this island. I do love this island. It's one of the most beautiful places, the people, and it's so huge. And remember, you've got farmers, you've got cattle ranchers that you need to love and protect because that's your food. We provide food. So no matter where you live, like Molokai, Molokai, Aina Momona, this island provide food. Food is number one. Protect those that provide the food. The ocean, the land, the farmers. That's who I am. I'm a farmer. But anyway, I appreciate all of you. I appreciate your mana'o. Thank you so much.
Mahalo nui, Kale. Thank you again for your mana'o. I see, Bobby, you have your hand raised again. Still on mute.
Okay. Okay, so you can maybe see me. I really, really appreciate the discussion. And to answer Ms. Makaila's question, having thought about it and knowing a little bit of the history, all of my great-grandparents came to Hamakua on Hawaii in the mid-1800s to work sugar, and we've never left, so we're still here. when I get in a really cranky mood, I would say, like a few others have said, our name is Hawaii. If you get confused or get lost, that's not my problem. And so I would not object at all to being like the other islands and just going by the name Hawaii with an Okina in it. Okay, mahalo.
Mahalo, Bobby. That's the last hand raise I see. Anyone else would like to add a comment at this point? Hearing none, thank you all for joining us in this meeting.
Kalamai, I see Kyla Turner.
Oh, okay, I see. Kyla Turner, yes, please.
Kalamai, aloha. I was checking out my sister. I'm in commute right now. Kalamai Hawaii. But I want to mahalo the board of Geographic Names for putting this meeting together. I know it's your monthly one, but I want to mahalo you guys for giving kind of an open forum to the community. As Miss Lily said, my name is Kyla Marie Turner. I am actually, I'm speaking in personal capacity, but I'm actually a County of Hawaii Youth Commissioner who we just started our first youth commission, but all of the insight of everybody from Hawaii has been so vital. And I think this meeting is honestly super great to start getting the conversation going. I think my only thing is being a youth, I don't know really anything, right? And so when I think Auntie Kiara brought up that the name Island of Hawaiʻi is what Hawaii was referred to back during the kingdom days, I think that would be something just to consider, especially knowing a lot of the history, how when Hawaii was taken over by America, how a lot of our kingdom things just was kind of translated into the American society, right? So knowing that history of how things have transferred, I think it would be warranted to keep in mind those transitions, especially because I asked the auntie in the comments if like Oahu Island and Kauai, if those names were the names of those islands back during the kingdom days. So I think that would be something to consider. But as somebody who also lives in Hawaii Island, I'm an opio of Hawaii Island. Hawaii to me has just been Hawaii, you know, or Moko Keawe. So I think it would be warranted to consider all the names and to if the board could help us to do more research on all of the different names that Hawaii has been called from Kingdom Days, before Kingdom Days, Moko Keawe, you know, all those names, and then maybe help us as a community relearn those names, and then we all collectively make a decision. I think that's my biggest ask right now. But yeah, I just want to mahalo you guys again for this meeting. It's been super insightful. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Kyla. I just wanted to say, you mentioned even though you are just an OPO, you actually do know a lot. I just want to say that you, we all are learning every single day, and I think we can always with each other, having each other to talk, have conversation to support one another is how we uplift and understand our kuleana, to our aina, to our community, and to all of the things that we hold dear. So mahalo again for speaking up and sharing your mana'o. But yes, without question, you do know something, and we really appreciate all that you've shared with us today. Mahalo. At this time, I'd like to recognize Missy.
Thank you. I just really want to know, this is actually my first time, being to the islands. I am a new resident. My husband is from Oahu. So I'm new to the big island. I'm actually just getting used to calling it the Island of Hawaiʻi. So I found this conversation interesting, like the others. I thought it was an April Fool's Day joke when I saw the KOHN social media post yesterday, and really realized it about an hour before the meeting that this was actually occurring. And I thought that was being changed from something to something more kind of generic or not historically accurate. So I really wanted to kind of monitor this because I do have a lot of respect for the culture, marrying someone from the islands and coming here. But the main thing I guess I wanted to say was, how do we, I guess, maintain involvement and kind of follow along? Is this something that y'all meet on a monthly basis? When do you put your agendas out? That sort of thing.
Thank you, Missy, for that. We do have monthly meetings. It would be my guess that this agenda item will be on our next meeting and future meetings. But again, as this being the first really official meeting that we have had an opportunity to discuss as a board, this will continue on for, I would assume, a number of meetings before we can really get to a point where some kind of action can be taken. So the board meetings are again held every month. The board packet materials are typically uploaded onto our website prior to the meeting. But I can also defer to Arthur Buto to give more specifics on those details.
Arthur, are we able to put up the schedule of meetings through the rest of this calendar year on the board webpage?
Yeah, since we decided on our monthly schedule, I can put placeholders in there for that, for those.
Awesome. So folks, I dropped into the chat box the link for the board webpage. And you folks are welcome to, if you go to that website, then it has, meeting materials, meeting minutes and agendas and whatnot. And Arthur, where do you think on there we'll be putting the schedule? Will it be on the main page or under one of the sub pages?
I'll have it on the meeting materials page. They'll just be placeholders for meetings through the end of December. And also on the state calendar, the calendar.ehawaii.gov, I think I can create a recurring calendar entry for that as well. But for everyone's information, at the last meeting, the board decided to meet on the first Tuesday of each month from 2 to 4 p.m. So that's going to be our recurring meeting. So
thank you, Arthur and Lily.
It might be a good time, Marcus, for me to make a motion. I'm going to move that we continue discussing this item at our next meeting.
All right, can I get a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, it was moved by Arthur and seconded by Holly. Any further discussion? Hearing none, any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Arthur and Holly, and all board members present, and as well as all of our community members that have joined us in our meeting. Thank you again for all the mana'o you've shared. We really do appreciate it. We take this kuleana very seriously, and we really hope that we can work more closely with all of you to come to a decision that everyone is comfortable with. Well, in the best possible way. So,
oh, I'm sorry, Marcus, one more thing for
yes,
everybody on the call. If you'd like to be on the mailing list, can you please put your email address in the chat? I'll download the chat a little bit later. I'll make sure to put you all on the mailing list. The mailing list is how I send out the notes and the agenda.
Yeah, mahalo nui, everyone. All right. The next agenda item is discussion of future names on the island of Hawaii.
So these are two items, Bobby. I don't know if you had a chance to do your follow-up, but they're two items that you were going to do some follow-ups with Volcanoes National Park and then also the Kona Historical Society.
Yes. You want to see my face or no need?
You don't need, if you don't need, yeah, okay.
There.
Well, there you go.
Thank you for
That's
putting
okay.
a shirt on.
You're welcome. I figured we'd have plenty of people today. We had a meeting at Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, the Kupuna group, and we will continue discussing place names. I'm going to try and hurry the process along as much as I can because I understand that approvals may take a while. So we will be talking about Luapoholo. And I did speak with Ku'ulani Auld, A-U-L-D, at the Kona Historical Society, and she sent me information about, she actually sent me really cool information about Mizota's Kipuka, which is on the list. And apparently Mizota was a Japanese carpenter who worked up on the mountain. Let me double check to make sure that that information is correct. Nobody had any information on Pu'u Ika'aka, at least for right now. There we go. Let me see. KHS. Kona Historical. I'll have to get back to you. Did I not forward you that email?
I don't recall receiving anything.
Okay. So, going back, just for my recall, going back to my comment about KHON, I thought the state did not have to abide by names as listed.
No, we do. It's in the statute that state agencies shall.
Oh, shall.
Yeah.
How come lots of them don't?
They don't know. It's just like the, federal agencies, just like Jenny's experience with Office of Native Hawaiian.
Yeah, yeah.
That was
here we go. I got it. It's an interview. In the old days, that's why they got Mizota Kipuka. That man used to have 50-gallon drums to catch his water and maybe 5 iron roofs or so. He'd find a bank, like a earthen bank, build a little wall. This is fabulous. I will send this to you right now. You can distribute it to the board. Forward.
Can you share your screen? Are you looking at something on the screen?
I'm looking at my computer. I have a weird setup here. My desktop does not have a camera. I haven't figured out how to link my iPad to my desktop. And I don't know that I want to do that because then it just has too many moving parts.
Bobby, I have my email open. If you want to send it to me, I'm happy to share screen anything we need to.
Lilli. There you go. At your work email.
Mahalo.
Yeah. Send. So the map is just my come on brain, my screenshot of the topo map. And let me know when you get it. Oh, I see your hand is raised. Lower your hand, Robert. And then Lily is waiting. I thought this was a really good discussion today, by the way. I'm glad people are engaged. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Holly.
Hi.
Who's that sitting next to you?
Regina.
Hi, it's Regina.
Oh,
Hi, Uncle Bobby.
how are you?
Hanging in there.
This is being recorded, by the way. So that dotted line across the center of the screen is the Judd Trail. And just off the screen to the right, it peters out right when it gets to the 1859 lava flow. So Pu'uika'aka is in the middle, and then Wahapele is just below that to the left, and you can see the four-wheel drive road between Wahapele and Pu'uika'aka. And then off to the right and down would be where Mizota's Kipuka is. And it's not on the map. I just wanted the Ika'aka reference. And then if you go down, there's that portion of an interview that Ku'ulani did with, I forget who she did it with. So KS is Ku'ulani Ald. Frank Silva, that's who it was. FS. Lots of drinking in the old days. Any questions?
I don't have any questions. Any other board members?
No, that was super interesting. Mahalo for that research.
You are welcome, as always.
Okay. So I guess, Bobby, you'll just wait to hear back from the Kupuna group on the other names and.
Yes, our meeting is not scheduled for late. We're in April already. Later this month. So hopefully I'll have a little bit more news for the next meeting. And I'm really hoping to get to put together a list of preliminary names that we should attempt to fix. I think a topic for a meeting, if I may be so bold as to suggest one, if we could get, I don't know if Larry Kimura or Puakea Nogelmeyer or, you know, high level Kupuna age language people, Noelani Loesch, if she's available, talking about the use of Okina and Kahako, because that seems to be a fairly contentious issue. And like many other issues, I foresee this question or this issue, I guess, Hawaii, Island of Hawaiʻi, or Hawaii Island, somebody's going to be unhappy. And I don't mind that people are unhappy, because like one of the speakers said, it's like a nickname, you know, don't worry about it. You can call it whatever you want. And ultimately, it's the point. Okay.
Mahalo, Bobby.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So
Okay.
before we move on, Marcus.
Yes. Ikaaka.
Ikaaka. Are we doing anything with that today? Or are we, Bobby, are you getting more information on that? Or is that, shall we just do what we did last month? I forget which pu'u it was, but where we concatenate and put an okina in pu'u.
Yeah, I would suggest okina between the two same vowels. So pu, okina u, ik, a, okina, aka. I hope that came out correctly. An okina between the two u's and between the two a's, and leave everything else alone for now.
I think at our last meeting and other meetings we've had, members are just
uncomfortable.
Yeah, even though it may seem obvious, uncomfortable doing that unless there's some evidence or documentation to do that, or some understanding about what the meaning is.
Are we on the meeting?
No.
I think the pu'u part sounds fine.
Okay.
What we've done.
I would then say, yeah, just a single okina between the two u's and pu'u. And then leave ika'aka alone till we figure out what's going on with that.
Okay, so I'm gonna move then to do that, to concatenate pu'u, ika'aka, put an okina in pu'u, and change the status to 7. We've exhausted our available resources and we'll reconsider it if some new evidence comes up.
All right. So can I get a second to that?
I second.
It was moved by Arthur, second by Lily. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you again for that. Okay, so we can move on to our last agenda item, which is discussion of select feature names on Oahu.
So as Bobby suggested, and I think the board was agreeable to, we're gonna switch islands. For now, we're gonna move off of the island of Hawaii, and we're gonna move to Oahu. And two names that Bobby had suggested that we review are Diamond Head and Punch Bowl. And the other names on the list are just 8 more names from our alphabetical list of unresolved names on Oahu. So I think, Holly, we're gonna, I think, look at
Diamond Head. Because it's a state park, so I actually made a list of things that I noticed. One of the first is the feature class. It says summit. Should it be, I think in common usage, it's much broader use than just the summit. Like when you call it Diamond Head State Parks, it basically covers the entire, most of the volcanic cone, if not further down. Is that a federal only?
I don't know.
determination?
Lily, do you still have geo names up, the domestic names? Can you look at Diamond Head and see what's in there?
Yep, I'll pull it up right now.
I don't know if we ever discussed that before changing.
No, we haven't. We actually, you can see the status right now is a 1, which is not Hawaiian. So we didn't even consider Leahi.
So this is what
Same
we're-
with Punchbowl.
That's what we're revisiting then.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the GNIS database, it for Diamond Head, it says it says summit. And then in the details, still waiting to pull up the summary report. So the feature code is summit, the class is summit.
Lily, try look at a pu'u name, because I think pu'u are summits also. Like a big pu'u somewhere.
So summer might represent more than we think in our usual.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when the feature class talks about a summit, I don't think they mean or intend that one point.
It's not Punchbowl is a crater.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I looked that up.
So Coco Head is listed as a summit.
Okay.
Pu'u Hule Hule is listed as a summit.
Punchbowl, crater.
Mauna Kea is listed as a summit.
Yeah. But Diamond Head is also a summit, is what you're saying?
Yeah, and we always call it crater or.
Right.
So-
So there is a feature class crater.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. I don't know if we've ever even dealt with that.
No.
It's sort of a,
Yeah, as I said, they're 1, so we didn't even look at them.
Now you can.
oh, we can confuse our discussions.
That's right.
Okay, but the second one is that there's variants for Leahi. There's Leahi and Laiahi. Oh, L-A-E, Ahi, Ahi's both. So, and that shows up in place names.
Yeah.
And I think we should also remember the name Diamond Head is really old. It's almost 200 years old. Not that it should take precedent, but it does need to be maybe recognized as a historic name more than we might otherwise. And there's no federal presence up there in terms of owning the land. It's now all state. The only
So
thing-
the variant names that are listed that have references is Diamond Hill, Kaimanahila, Laiahi, Leahi. Yeah, those 4. That's what's currently in the summary report, with the official name being Diamond Head. I think, as always, my preference is to try to go to the traditional Inoa Hawaiʻi. But I also think because this is such a prominent feature with a lot of history, we need to do a lot more research. We'd also need to research the variants of Laiahi versus Leahi. And then on top of that, have a discussion of what's the most appropriate spelling.
Well, we are allowed to have alternates, which in this case would probably help to have Diamond Head one of the alternates, at least from the practical use of the state park, because it's internationally known. if we put up a sign that just said Leahi, which many people, or whichever one we choose, I think many people in parks would be in favor of that, but it wouldn't be practical not to have Diamond Head also there, even if it were in parentheses. So we might consider that being an alternate.
Yeah, I agree with Holly that since we do have the option of having an alternate name, which is equal in part to the official name, to use that ability in this instance, so that both names can be used by whatever agency, especially since Diamond Head has such a historic association for generations, both locally as well as internationally. That's a really very good suggestion to me.
I agree with that. Although I do think Lily's right. Before we decide on the Olelo Hawaiʻi name, we need to make sure we get the spelling right, get a little more research done. But the alternate name ability is important on this one. I'm looking at a map from C.J. Lyons from 1870. He's got it here, Diamond Head. So, you know, there's incredible significance to this name.
I think it's 1825 when they first recorded that name.
Oh, wow.
So I also had some boundary questions. I don't know if we don't address that, do we? It's because how big is Diamond Head going to cover in our decision? Is it going to cover Kepiolani Community College? Would they have to start using that as well in their documents? Maybe we should ignore that, but from the public relations stance, Diamond Head is just in the tourism.
And I think Jenny might still be on the line.
Diamond Head is used so broadly.
Yeah.
When we make that decision, maybe we should let people know that they don't have to change the name of their soda drink to.
Well, again, we're talking about the GNIS and its impact on federal agencies, and you know, at the state level, the HBGN impact on state agencies, not.
I know that, but when people see it as we saw today, they might. It might be worth them knowing we're not asking you to change Diamond Head and absolute everything, which is all over the place. So.
Sorry to put you on the spot, Jenny, but I wanted to ask you, is there a way, or is there something in the GeoName that would show us what the perimeter boundaries of a particular feature are? In this
Yeah. Hi, Arthur. Hi, everybody. No. By definition, you know, natural features classified as a summit don't have boundaries. You know, a state park certainly does, a legal boundary, but by definition, I mean, we've talked about creating polygons around natural features, but that's really for text placement on a map. It's not any kind of official definition. It's not like you can suddenly say you're stepping across a boundary and you're now, quote, in Diamond Head. It's and that's where I think in many ways we're fortunate or lucky in GNIS. We only record the high point of a summit. So all we have is a single point at the approximate high point. We don't have to define the extent. It's very much for mapping application. So in this case, summit really is the best fit given the 64 or so GNIS categories. I noticed in the write-up too, I saw in the feature description that's, you know, historically a crater. So crater might be valid, but then that would really only be the bowl, right? It would not include the slopes so summit really seems to us to probably fit the best. We don't have any other category that I think would be any better. So I think summit is kind of what we're stuck with. So
it just came in, so I'm glad to hear the explanation for it.
Sure.
Jenny, I had also a quick question. I just saw a comment from Melia saying that Diamond Head is also designated as a national natural landmark. Does that make a difference if a name change were to occur? If it's already identified in that way?
Yeah, no, that's really referring more to the administrative unit. I would probably argue in a way that note in GNIS is probably a little misleading. I remember we went through a spell 15 years ago of marking locations that were National Historic Landmarks. At the time, it seemed useful, but that's when we still recorded administrative features, parks and so forth in GNIS. Now that they've been removed, we only record natural features. I would say it's probably not a factor. Although, having said that, National Historic Landmarks, natural landmarks are designated by the National Park Service. So certainly there would be an impact to their records. And that could be enough to not change the name. It would just be one factor in the decision. It shouldn't be the deciding factor. So that's a good question. We look into whether, names that are national landmarks have any special status. I don't think they really do or should, but certainly it would impact more federal products without a doubt.
Thank you for that.
Sure.
The Hawaii Department of Defense would also probably have to change things because they work out of Diamond Head Crater.
There you go. Yeah.
We
Right.
have at least 2 state agencies. And then whether Kapi'olani Community College borders on that, I guess that might be somebody else's decision.
Right.
So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Holly. Board members, any thoughts on what we'd like to do? Should we continue further research on this, or what would you like to do at this point?
Because the variant, we want to check the variant names on it. Or any other name that should come up that's related to that topic.
You want to make a motion then? To continue research.
I make a motion to continue research on what name we should apply to what is currently now called Diamond Head.
Was moved by Holly, seconded by Arthur. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next feature name on the list, Punch Bowl. Do we want to address that at this time?
Guys, you know that there's a meeting going on right now to either
I have the Punch Bowl feature pulled up
Okay.
right now in the GNIS. So it is a crater. I'm pulling up the summary report right now for variant names. Variant names on here. There's Punch Bowl. Oh, there's 2 iterations of Punch Bowl. There's Punch Bowl Hill, Pu'uwaina with an E, Pu'uwaina, Pu'uwaina, and Pu'uwaina. So there's multiple variants on here. I think there were past decisions. January 1st, 1954 is when there was a board decision for Punch Bowl as the name. Previously, May 6, 1914, Punch Bowl Hill was the name.
If I can contribute to this,
Please do.
Puakea Nogelmeyer, when he was working at Kamehameha schools several decades ago, spent quite a while researching Puawaina and its various names. I will contact him and ask him if he still has a copy of that and if he would be willing to share it with the board.
Mahalo, Bobby.
You're welcome.
Should we postpone this decision until we can get that information?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah, and Melia put in the comments that it's the name given to the National Cemetery. And is it federal land?
Most
So
of it, I
we'd have
don't
to
know.
consult with, I don't know even know who consult with.
So DHHL actually does own lands along the kind of outside of the crater. So I believe the actual kind of bowl itself is the National Cemetery. And then beyond that, there's kind of private public landowners. I think that the National Cemetery extends over the rim and comes down a little bit. So I know that I have some maps that we did for the regional plan, but DHHL does have adjacent lands for Papakolea, Kalawahine, and Kewalo homesteads. And there's also a 14-acre parcel that is kind of along the outer slopes. That's near the elementary school, I believe, or elementary or intermediate school that's right over there. So there is a 14-acre parcel that's for community use. And there are plans by, I believe, the Papakolea, two of the homestead organizations in Papakolea, for kind of utilization of that space. There are some historic sites that are on that 14-acre parcel that they kind of take care of. And then they also are looking at potential community spaces for different uses, cultural uses. I can look into kind of the major landowners that are around there and get a better understanding of who might have kuleana regarding Punch Bowl or Puawaina.
All right. Mahalo for that, Lily. So we'll continue down the list. The next feature
Marcus, I
name.
see a hand up. I don't know if that's.
Oh, yes. Kiara, do you have a question at this time?
Aloha, I just had a comment. I just want to make sure that when we talk about what is known to us as Puawaina, that we understand in the time of the kingdom when disease was dismantling our people were dying. 4 out of 5 Kanaka, right, at this time, all of them are kanu there. So it's really important because we have a lot of mo'olelos, especially the ohanas that stem from Ewa. They have a lot of iwi kupuna there. So it's really important that we also take into consideration that, as it is a leina aku uhane, which means like this is this is a pulling point, I guess, for all of the uhane after they after they die, right? It is through here our aumakua, it is said that they help us through the ana cave systems to make our journey to the gods in the setting of the sun. So I just want to ensure that that ike is also understood by you folks. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui for sharing that manao.
Mahalo, Kiara.
Okay. The next feature name is Aimu'u Gulch.
Do we have anything for that?
For Aimu'u, in the summary report, it doesn't have any variants. It just mentioned the entry date is February 6, 1981. The classification or feature code is Valley, and the name is Aimu'u Gulch. I think we should. I mean, my preference would be to remove Gulch from the name. But I also feel like we don't have enough research for Aimu'u or to address the spelling. So those would be two concerns about making changes to that place name.
Yes, and it's not found in place names, and so I think more research definitely is needed.
Chair Marzan,
Yes.
may I ask Jenny a question or ask her to clarify something?
Please.
Is she there? Jenny, are you there?
Yes, Jenny's
Hi,
here.
Bobby. I'm here.
Okay. You know, in the GNIS, on the decision cards, the dates that or not even the decision card, but the dates that are in the GNIS, what are those dates? Are they the dates that a topo was published, or when the information was uploaded to the GNIS? Because there's lots of 1981s, there's lots of 1914s, at least for Hawaii.
Right. There's, two different things there. The decision date would be the date that the BGN rendered a decision on that name. And I see in some cases, you can see the decision card is actually appended in the record. It's right below where Lily was reading off the variants and the decisions. If you go down, there's a little down arrow. You can download the card and you can see that. They're kind of poor quality. They're very flimsy papers, I recall, but it looks like those are the 1914 decision cards. The 1954, there was a huge effort to compile gazetteers for all the Pacific Islands, including Hawaii, in 1954. It was sort of a legacy of the war effort. They were trying to catalog all the names in the islands, and that included Hawaii. And we have some gazetteers. So I think and it was also when USGS was first mapping the islands, I think including Hawaii. So they had a lot of decisions to make on the official names for federal use. So there was a big effort in 1954. So those seem to be the 2 years when there was a lot of focus on decisions for Hawaii. Now the entry date, the 1981 entry date, that is simply, yes, when the names were first entered into GNIS. Before the late 70s, there was no database. We didn't have technology to create. We had printed paper bound gazetteers. And so the first effort was this phase 1, where we recorded every name on every USGS topo map. And that's why you'll see in most states, it was started in 1978. My guess is 1981 is probably when they got around to recording the names for Hawaii. So that's simply a database entry date. There was no decision on that date. So you shouldn't see a lot of 1981 decisions. It's simply just when the data was recorded. It really is pretty meaningless. It just says, it tells us that it was a phase 1 entry. And you'll see as the years go on, there's many others that are later years, like sort of phase 2. We were done with the topo maps. We went back and looked at other sources for names. So you'll see entry dates all through the 80s and the 90s. And then, as someone mentioned earlier, in the 2000 was when we started adding the writing marks back into the name. So there were a lot of decisions, again, for 2000 and later. So anything you see there for 78, 80, 81 timeframe is simply a database entry date, nothing more than that.
Thank you for the clarification.
Anytime.
And I'm going to sign off now. We'll see you folks next month.
Aloha,
Thank you,
Bobby.
Bobby.
Thank you.
Aloha.
So maybe we can do more research on this MOU. So next, Kupu, it's a populated place feature class. So is
Jenny, sorry to keep bothering you, but populated place are those things that are there obviously it's still, well, I'm sorry, this printout came from a while ago. So are populated places still in the GNIS?
They are, yes, yes. Whether they're incorporated or unincorporated, they're all in GNIS as populated place. The difference is the US BGN does not have the authority to rename an incorporated place. So for example, like, you know, the city of Honolulu, that's established by charter and a legal document. Only the city itself or the county or the state could change the name of the city of Honolulu. But for an unincorporated populated place, just your average, you know, community or village, those are under the US BGN's purview to name and rename. The only way you can really tell in GNIS is to look at the census code, and you'll see if it's a C1, means it's incorporated, again, a legal defined name. If it's unincorporated, it's most likely to have a U5 as the code, meaning unincorporated. All those census codes are defined. There's a table there somewhere in GNIS. But certainly, yes, populated places, if they're unincorporated, are under your and our purview to name and rename. So it's going to be case by case depending on which ones you're looking at. But again, if it's unincorporated, by all means, yes, you can render a decision on it.
I did have a question about why it might have been classified as a populated place. Because it does not appear to be populated.
Oh, okay.
It's up on the side of the mountain. So I
Okay.
think that was my confusion. When I did take a look at it, it looks so a kupu in here is a populated place, but if you look at the map, actually, why don't I share screen?
Yeah, because thanks. I
folks can-
apologize. I was busy taking notes on the previous item and I wasn't keeping up with your
No
spreadsheet. So I wasn't sure which one you were on next. So I got behind there. And I'm trying to follow the chat too. There's still a lot of comments
no
coming
problem.
in. So
Okay, I'm gonna go down
Okay.
here.
Okay.
So let me zoom out some.
Yeah.
So you can see a
Okay.
kupu is up
Yeah.
here
Okay.
on the ridge. So this is, let me see if I can shift it just a smidge so people can orient themselves. So this is Makakilo. This is Kapolei, Nanakuli out over here. And then a kupu is identified here, Kalamai. A kupu is up on the side of the ridge here above Makakilo,
Okay.
and below the point of Palehua.
Okay.
So I'm not sure, actually, I'm pretty sure there's not houses
Population there,
all
yeah.
the way up
Population,
here.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm just confused on the feature code.
Sure.
Um,
Well,
yeah.
if you could, our definition of populated place, if it's unincorporated, like this obviously would be, only you have to have one dwelling, one residence. Populated place is anywhere from a tiny crossroads hamlet and one or two buildings all the way up to New York City. If you could do me a favor, Lily, can you scroll up? I'm curious if this is a phase 1 entry or just what's the entry date of this record?
Sure.
Thanks.
So entry date was 1981.
Okay, and it was taken from a topo map. Okay. If you do me a favor, could you scroll down again to the map image, and then rather than the imagery itself, could you up in the upper right, the little that select topo map, see like it's historical topo. You can scroll down. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. I'm curious to see what the topo map. Okay, so yeah, see there's a cluster of buildings there.
Oh,
Not much.
interesting.
But if you know for a fact that those buildings are no longer occupied and everyone's moved away and no one lives there, then we certainly can make it historical, which means it no longer serves the function where it was originally classified. So if anyone knows the area, knows that no one lives there, just let us know and we can make it historical, which means it stays in the database as a reference, but it's no longer shown on future maps as a populated place.
So I do. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I do know that there are residences that are still on that mountain, close to on the ridge there. So there are residences still actively being lived in at this time.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know they have Camp Palehua up there.
Correct.
Also.
Oh,
So
that way.
Yeah, just to the north. Yeah. So it sounds like you're saying we should leave it as is then, maybe. And if you find otherwise, let us know. We can update the database.
Okay.
Okay.
So some of the reference documents that I had for Akupu, Ulukau has it in their Hawaiian place names. It's in the Aupua of Honouliuli. The feature is identified as a pu'u and a spring. There's a comment in here that says all water from Akupu Camp was brought up from the Akupu Spring, which was carved out of the solid rock below the ridge, a distance of over a mile from camp. This area was called Palehua on the USGS 1953 edition. The source for this information on Ulukau is Sterling and Summers, which I believe is Sites of Oahu. There's not a lot of current contemporary use of Akupu. It does show that the Gil Everlands, which is organization landowner, have partnered with Malama Learning Center, and they have what's called the Akupu Ridge Restoration Project, which is a reforestation project of about 5 acres up there. Outside of that, I don't find any other contemporary references. And then I don't find other references to Akupu as a place name. I'm not sure, Marcus, if you were able to find any other references.
Yeah, no, I haven't found any other references as well in my search.
Yeah, I actually don't think that there's an issue with the spelling. The only thing I had a question about for this particular feature name was how come it was the populated place feature, but I think Jennifer answered answered that one. So other than that, I feel like this is appropriate as written. And we have historic references for it. It's in Sites of Oahu with Sterling and Summers. There's even some mana'o about the origins of it potentially having come from the spring that was there. And we also have a contemporary reference with the landowner doing an Akupu Ridge restoration project.
So do we not need to change that from a 3? We just number 4 HBG. Oh, it's not even corrected. It's
It would be a
just
5.
yeah, 5.
Already
Can you make a
correct.
motion? Somebody make a motion.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll make the motion. I make the motion to note that Akupu is correctly named in GNIS.
I'll second.
It's moved by Meyer, seconded by Lily. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Marcus, we are a little bit over time.
Oh,
but
all
before
right.
before you adjourn, sorry.
Yes.
Punch Bowl and Aimu'u Gulch. I think we just need to make a motion to continue research on those. I don't think we made a motion. So I'll move that we continue researching Punch Bowl and
I'm
Gulch.
all right.
Seconded.
So moved by
Sorry,
Arthur,
Fire.
second by Lily. Any further discussion? Seeing none, any opposed? Motion carried. All right. Thank you all for a very productive and fruitful meeting with both comments from the community as well as all of the input from our board members and consultants that we've worked with for a while now. Yeah, thank you again for all of this. And I believe Arthur, as mentioned, we will be including our monthly meetings on our webpage with all relevant materials as needed prior to the upcoming meeting. So I adjourn this meeting at 4:06. Mahalo nui, everyone.
Mahalo, guys.
Yeah.
Take care.
Mahalo, everybody. Take care.
I can for
Mahalo, ahui ho.
Ahui ho.